I'm Jean Kin from the Maintenance and Certification Program at the University of Michigan. I'm the co-lead for the MOC for QI program. And I think my job here today is to sort of demystify the MOC process and how you get credit for doing a quality improvement project. So I'm going to cover 5 points. One, an overview of the ABIMS Maintenance and Certification Program, and then specifically hone in a little bit on the Part 4 MOC program. And then I'm going to go through ABIM MOC requirements specifically because I know most of the people in the MOQC group are medical oncologists. Then we'll talk about the operational steps for an MOC project and documenting it, the requirement for 2 linked PDCA cycles, and attesting to participation, what individual physicians need to do. And then I'm going to mention the MOQC projects that are available for you to participate in and the support that you will get from the MOQC staff if you choose to participate in a MOQC project. So what is MOC and why should you care about it? Well, the American Board of Medical Specialties is made up of 24 specialty boards, including the American Board of Internal Medicine. Back in the day, you became certified by taking an exam and you had lifetime certification, but now certification is time limited and it requires you to participate in ongoing activities with the goal of actually improving care that's provided. So maintenance of certification demonstrates ongoing learning and care improvement, and it can have the benefits of making you eligible for additional reimbursement from some payers, and it may also be a credentialing requirement depending on what hospital you're credentialed at. So the components of maintenance of certification are in a 4-part framework. The first one is professional standing, which basically means that you're licensed and have an unrestricted license. The second part is lifelong learning and self-assessment, otherwise known as continuing professional development. The third part is cognitive expertise, and this is like the dreaded test, the every 10-year recertification test. And part 4, which we're going to go do a deeper dive on today, is assessment and improving performance in actual practice. This is your QI project for which you'll get credit. So even though the 4-part framework is shared by all the specialty boards, the specific requirements vary greatly by what time cycle you need to achieve your point status in, the specific operational requirements of your board, whether you actually have to be engaged in an improvement effort or is it sufficient to just assess your practice. Some boards have easier options than others. Surgeons, for example, only have to participate in a data registry. And all of these board requirements are changing frequently, so it's hard to keep track of the overall MOC landscape, but today I'm going to give you a current snapshot of what ABIM specifically requires. Because there's so much variation among the boards and their requirements, the ABIMS convened the different specialty boards and got them to agree on a common standard for Part 4, which is the quality improvement option. And they delegated approval to some institutions to designate Part 4 credit for quality improvement projects, and then also to actually award Part 4 credit to physician participants. So Michigan Medicine, the program I belong to, was the second institution in the country to be approved for this purpose. I think Mayo Clinic might have been the first. So this just gives you an overview of which specialties can derive the most value out of doing a QI project in terms of the MOC credit they'll get, and you'll see that it's highly useful for internal medicine. Pediatrics probably has the most rigorous standards in this regard, but it's still very valuable for internal medicine. Also, if you have physician assistants in your practice, they can benefit from getting MOC credit as well. So MOC projects can align numerous interests. The physician obviously gets to maintain their board certification. It's a good recognition for quality improvement work that they're already doing, as opposed to quality improvement work being extra and maintenance and certification being on top of the regular work that you want to do. It allows you to select projects for their importance rather than their convenience, and the institution will provide resources and guidance. In this case, MOQC will provide resources and guidance if you choose to do a MOQC project. So, and of course, in the end, it's all about what are the patient's interests, that it's going to improve quality and safety of care. So this charts out the ABIM requirements for recertification. As you know, it's a 10-year cycle. Part 1 is your unrestricted license. Part 2 is your knowledge assessment. Part 4 is the QI practice improvement, and Part 3 is the exam. And Part 2 and Part 4 are bucketed in the middle because you have to do something in those areas every 2 years. And an ABMS quality improvement project will actually get you 30 points. So that's 30 points towards the 100 points you need in a 5-year cycle. So that's where the value is for a physician to participate in a QI project that's suitable for MOC. Let me just talk a little bit about the exam, because that's what people seem to hate the most. So most of the boards, including internal medicine, are moving from the 10-year high-stakes recertification exam to more frequent knowledge checks. So you have the option of taking the exam every 10 years, like you've no doubt done in the past, or participating in a knowledge check, which happens every 2 years, so it's a smaller quiz. And the benefit is you don't have to take it at a testing center. You can take it from your office or from your home. It's the same price as the 10-year exam. You get actual feedback on your performance on the exam rather than just being told that you passed or failed. And it's lower stakes. If you happen to fail one of the 2-year checks and you pass the next one, you're still on track with your 10-year cycle. So here are various ways that you can meet your 100-point requirement over a 5-year cycle. You can do all knowledge assessment for 100 points, but if you read 100 points as being 100 hours, that's pretty time intensive. You could do 70 points in knowledge assessment and 30 points in a QI project. You could do 40 in knowledge and 60 in 2 projects, or you could do the minimum of 20 in knowledge assessment and get 80 QI points by doing 3 projects. So what's involved in a project? A project means that you have to do 2 linked QI cycles, 2 cycles of plan, do, check, act, and they need to be data-driven. So you have to identify a problem, decide what you're going to measure in terms of performance, collect your baseline measures, do an intervention, collect post-intervention data, see how you did, and then you either adjust the intervention that you've already tried, or you try a new intervention, or you say, oh, this intervention was successful and here's how we're going to sustain it. And then you collect post-adjustment data as well, and so that completes your 2 cycles of improvement. So there's 3 points where you measure. 1 is your baseline, 1 is your post-intervention, and then 1 is your post-adjustment. So for a physician to participate in a meaningful way in an MOC project, it means that they were involved in interpreting the baseline data and planning the intervention. They actually made a change in their practice through implementing the intervention. They reviewed the post-intervention data. They were involved in planning the next cycle of improvement. They implemented the next intervention, and again, they looked at the post-adjustment data. They reflected on what happened over the course of the project, and they assigned an attestation that they've been involved throughout the 2 cycles of improvement. So it's really, the attestation process is really fairly simple. At the university, we use a Qualtrics survey that probably takes 15 or 20 minutes to complete. So the Michigan Oncology collaborative has some projects that are already active and are approved for MOC credit. Those include tobacco cessation and identifying a patient advocate, and they've got several other projects in the works. So the MOQC staff can tell you more about those projects. If you choose not to do a MOQC project, it's also possible to do a project in your individual practice or at your institution. But to get MOC credit, you need to meet all the requirements of an ABIM project, including addressing a quality gap. That is one of the IOM's quality dimensions. You have to construct a measurable aim for improvement. You have to measure, you have to do interventions intended to improve, and then you have to, of course, collect and analyze the data to assess the impact of the intervention. So you may have a problem in your practice that you want to do directly for ABIM, but if you choose a MOQC project, you'll get support throughout the process. In the pre-planning phase, the MOQC will develop the concept for the project. They'll work with our office to be sure that it meets ABMS requirements. The work of the site lead includes deciding to sign on to the project, notifying MOQC that they want to participate, and identifying the physicians at that practice who will participate. It could also be physician assistants. The MOQC office will have forms and templates ready to go to use for the project, so you won't have to do all that work yourself. And the MOQC will guide you, the MOQC staff will help you carry out the 2 cycles of improvement. And then at the back end, our office helps with getting the actual credit for physicians by running the attestation process and then sending the final approved report and the attestations to the board so the credit will be recorded. So we found some key factors that lead to project success. One is the setup up front. You want to engage all your stakeholders at the start. If physicians want credit, they need to be involved in the beginning, so you don't want to bring them on late. Otherwise, they won't be eligible for credit. It's important that you begin documenting at the start, because it's really hard to go back and gather data that's a year old, or to remember what happened over the course of the project a year later. And again, these projects can be used to meet multiple requirements, payer requirements, MOC requirements, help meet your organization's priorities, and then most importantly, help improve care for your patients. So are there any questions? Louise Bedard thought these were some of the things you might want to know about. How much credit does a MOQC project give me? So you get the 30 points towards ABIM, maintenance of certification. What will a physician or a practice have to put into the ABIM platform? No, you don't have to put anything in at all. That happens at the back end, and we take care of that for you. How is the attestation completed? Again, it's a simple form that we've put in Qualtrics, so you just put in your reflections on the project, attest that you were involved throughout the 2 cycles. It put in your provider number and identifying information so we can send that to the board. It takes 15 or 20 minutes. Timeline requirements. MOQC is structuring projects that have a rhythm to them, but should you fall behind, it doesn't, there's no consequence from the standpoint of if you complete the work, you'll still be eligible for credit. And similarly, if you start a project but don't finish it, no consequence, but you won't get the credit if you don't finish the project. Can we modify the documents we get from MOQC? Sure, within reason, you can customize them to your needs as long as you're gathering the information that's needed to report to ABMS. And when can we see and share any documentation templates? They're available now. They'll be posted on the website. And I'm also have some resources here. The Maintenance of Certification website has examples of an enrollment template, of an attestation template, of a workshop, of a worksheet, and of a project report. And the ABIM website also has a lot of resources that can be helpful to you, including practice assessment options. So that is your Part 2 type of credit, not your Part 4. As well as the ACCME website has medical knowledge modules that you can use for Part 2 credit. So happy to answer any questions people have after the fact. Just shoot an email to Louise or me and we'll get back to you. Thank you.